Welcome to Bedroom Forensics. I hope you're enjoying all the episodes. If you are, then please subscribe. You can get all the latest to your inbox. Well, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about puppies. Yeah, well, not really, but I'm going to be chucking in a whole lot of pictures of dogs. So, there. So, the reason why it's about dogs today is because I love sniffing around new research. I came across this pretty impressive study by Mccann et al. In Forensic Science International, Volume 309, April 2020. Now, it looks into the use of crime scene detection dogs to locate semen stains on different types of fabric. This study began in 2015. The Dutch police began the project to use dogs to locate semen stains at crime scenes, and it had very promising results, which led them to want to improve the technique and actually make it part of crime scene detection. So more experiments were done. In various studies that they did, they tested the dog's performance in a range of scenarios to discover if they could accurately pinpoint where the semen was and how sensitive they were when it came to certain types of fabric. It doesn't say where the semen was sourced, but blimey, they must have used a lot. In these tests, they compared the dogs to what we currently use in crime scenes to find these types of stains. They include forensic lights, RSID field kit tests, and acid phosphate tests. And what did they find? Well, that dogs were awesome, of course. They could find where the semen was 100% of the time, and on pretty much anything they threw at them. Now, this study is super descriptive and scientific and worth taking a look at, because adding a dog to the mix with these skills could be a real help in cases such as sexual assaults, where a crime scene can be as big as a festival. Now, the main conclusion drawn from this is that the scientists recommended that you use forensic lights first, then dogs, and then the other common tests. So, on the theme of dogs being the best, I also like cats too. There are other uses for dogs at crime scenes. Now, dogs have 200 million sensitive cells within their nose to aid in scent detection. We've got like 5 million. They also have an organ in the roof of their mouth that allows a dog to taste a smell, thus strengthening its ability to detect odours. You've got to wonder why they sniff butts then. Ugh. They are really impressive though, and can smell a smell that is long gone to us. So some of the uses for dogs include drug detection. Recently, private companies offer these services at festivals, so you may rock up and see some well-trained dogs sniffing out drugs on a person, and they can only ask you to dispose of said narcotic. But when the police have their dogs, look out, prepare for way more drama, or don't use or sell drugs. Explosive dogs are trained to detect the odours of specific substances such as sulphur and nitroglycerine. These bad boys are usually around airports, but are brought in if there's a terrorism incident. They go into the suspect's home or building to identify the presence of these substances on any surface and in any area. As with explosives, arson dogs can detect the chemical traces of accelerants. They can point to where they were used, giving the investigators an idea of where the fire may have started. Cadaver dogs, also known as decomposition or victim recovery dogs, they are trained to follow the scent of decomposing flesh in order to locate the bodies of deceased people. And that's no matter if the body is on the surface, buried underground, or underwater. They can find full bodies, or parts of one, or even know if a body has been in a place and then removed. Recently, a case where they use cadaver dogs is the Madeleine Mccann case. The dogs found the scent of death in the boot of the parents' hire car. Now, of course, investigators have to take everything into account when looking at a case and determining a suspect, and they would have taken this into consideration. And they're still looking for Madeleine Mccann. Anyway, there are a whole bunch of odours associated with the different stages of decomp, and check my other video for what those stages are. And some dogs are trained for different levels of smell. They can even look at super oil detection like archaeological digs. Now, search and rescue dogs, they are what it says on the tin. They're trained to specifically track and find human beings, and used in places where there are mass disasters like earthquakes or plane crashes. They can also be used to hunt fugitives and suspects too. They just get the scent of the criminal, good old sniff, and they're off. To train a dog is like any way of training. It's repeating a process and then giving them a treat for when they get it right. Think Pavlov's dog and all the bells. Ding ding. Dogs are super clever, and once trained will be able to smell the particular odour, even if there are other distracting odours around. So don't think you can mix your drugs with a sausage. They are too good for that. Now, when using a dog in a crime scene, they need to be handled correctly, and a record kept of the search, trainers and dogs involved, what was searched, how and what the findings were. Dogs are trained to point and not to touch, so as not to compromise any evidence. If nothing is found, the area is deemed as having been cleared and the search team can move on. Well, I hope you liked today's episode all about dogs, and I hope you liked the pictures too. Now, don't forget, you can subscribe or you can get in touch and tell me what you might want to hear on the next episode of Bedroom Forensics. So, hopefully, see you then.